Hello everyone, my name is Douglas McDermott. I restore and occasionally build steam engines, and welcome to my new series about restoring a 1912, we think, 2.5-inch gauge steam locomotive. So about 3 weeks ago, I saw on eBay this very wrecked, look, it was you could tell it was either a 464 or a 462, and I was kind of thinking about buying it, but it was very expensive and it's in terrible condition. I would show you the engine, but I don't have it with me right now. It's currently making its way from Ohio, and anyways, I ended up owning it, and it is a model of the London, Brighton and South Coast Railways number 326 Bessborough. I believe I'm saying that right. And mine is missing quite a lot. It's missing the leading and trailing wheels, the this part of the cab, but the rest of it is all there. And the interesting thing about it is a very early production live steam model, we believe made by James Carson and Company Limited of Cricklewood in North London. And this is a photo. I haven't used paper photos because my digital editing skills are virtually non-existent. This is a photo of Carson's booth at the 1911 Model Engineer exhibition, which I think was at Alexandra Palace, but I'm not sure. So the plan, once the engine is here, this video will eventually cut to the engine being here. The plan is to restore it back to steaming condition and hopefully cosmetically as well as mechanically restore it. Alrighty everyone, so it's here and it is different than what I thought it was. So the main thing is that this is a 2-inch gauge locomotive, which 2-inch gauge doesn't exist anymore, except in certain circumstances, which I'll get onto later. But it's a 2-inch gauge locomotive, and it is beautifully constructed. It is one of the nicest made engines I've ever seen. And one of the interesting features is the maker has decided to do all of the frames, the plate work, the running board, the boiler barrel, I don't know about the smoke box, and the bunker is all Russian iron. And it is it was not painted originally, so you can see, I don't know how well this is going to show up on camera, but this is a deep blue color, and I'm trying to get the corrosion off of it so that it'll return to being a deep blue color. The boiler barrel was painted LBSC dark brown, burnt umber, I forget the correct name for it. And most of the paint is still there. It's actually very well preserved right here. There's a lot left there. So I may or may not leave the boiler barrel as is. I'm not quite sure yet. And then the smoke box appears to be brass. The door is brass. The water gauge glass is broken, but I knew that when I bought it. The safety valve, it looks like someone has smashed the top of it. So I'm gonna get a new one. Yeah, someone has smashed the top of it. I can pull it apart like that. I actually may be able to make a new top for that, and we can use the original one because the spring is fine. And then the cylinders are very interesting. These look like Stevens Model Dockyard mill engine cylinder castings, which is very interesting. They're brass cylinders with slide valve steam chests on the side. And the engine does run. After this, there'll be a clip of the engine running. It runs very well for its age. I've covered all the running gear in oil. And currently I'm working on cleaning up the left-hand side motion. So that is the coupling rod, and then the connecting rod is right here. And this is a fake big end brass. It doesn't go all the way through. It's purely cosmetic. So those are looking very nice. I've started cleaning up the driving wheels. I took the cylinder cladding off, which is also Russian iron. I don't know if the camera's focusing or not. I don't have a opposite monitor to see what I'm looking at, which makes this a little hard. But it's got some lovely asbestos and spider eggs on the inside, which was quite the treat. I've wetted it, so it's covered in water, so there's no danger of any dust getting in my lungs. I'll have to do that on the other side as well. And I'm gonna take a wild guess and say that there's probably asbestos all underneath the boiler cladding, which will be interesting to remove. I'm not sure if I'm gonna have the boiler off the frames or not. I've put 90 PSI in this of air and I haven't heard any leaks. That doesn't really mean that much, but it could probably run on steam. This is the burner, which goes up inside here, and there's a tank in here with this very strange flapper mechanism, which controls the amount of methylated spirits that comes out of the tank in here, and you adjust that with this funny little lever. So I've got to learn what on earth that does and figure out A, if it's safe, and B, if it still works. I haven't had the bunker off yet. I'm working on getting the bunker off, but right now I'm trying to take the left-hand side piston out so I can clean up the crosshead and the slide bars and all that. So trying to get the left hand looking presentable, and we'll move on to the right-hand side, and then we'll probably do the bunker. So yeah, that's where we're up to right now. I'm very happy with it. I'm gonna have to build 2-inch gauge track for it, which is a little, I've done it before, so it's tedious work, but yeah, so pressure gauge still works, which is surprising. It doesn't reset to 0, so I need to take it off and have a look at that. It's currently sitting at 25. There's no pressure in the boiler. It's open to atmosphere right now because the valve is off. The regulator works. It's not jammed. It feels very good. It's pretty responsive to the throttle. It has slip eccentric valve gear, which you can see in there. That took a little bit of freeing up, but it's working well now. So yeah, that's all for this little installment, I think. So I just got the front cylinder cover off, and here is the piston, which has this unusual iron oxide kind of stuff floating around it, which is odd seeing as it's a brass piston and a brass cylinder. I'm guessing that's probably come out of the boiler at some point. Interestingly, there is no slot in the piston to put a screwdriver in so that you can remove it. So how exactly you pull the pistons, I'm not sure. I guess you have to take the rear cylinder cover off, and try and avoid the spider there, but you can't undo the bolts because there's this stepladder thing, I forget the correct name, and that's in the way. So that's a interesting little puzzle. I think I'll try and undo these bolts somehow. Okay, so I just managed to get the bunker off. So this edifice is the bunker, and that is the internal, so you can see how it's made. It's pieces of Russian iron with brass angle that's been riveted and screwed to the sides, and that slots over this little brass or copper, I'm not sure what, tank, which is the meths tank for the fuel. And the fuel drops down through this regulator gate valve thing down here on the bottom, which has a whole linkage that controls it. And that goes in here, and that gate valve fills up this, and then that goes down to the wicks. So having got this off, we can now have our first uninterrupted look at the backhead, which I've taken the top water gauge fitting off, and I've put some penetrating oil on the pressure gauge gland screws, and then it has this funny clack valve with this chopped off piece of pipe down here, which I'm guessing is an attempt at a blanking plug. And all this will be polished, and I think I'll polish, this is probably a bronze casting, the actual backhead casting that typically is on Carson engines, which I think is what this is, but I'm not really sure. So yeah, onwards and upwards. Okay, so I've finished messing with the bunker and the left-hand side motion, so now I'm going to take off the right-hand side motion and give it a little bit of a clean and polish and all that. So this is the very dirty right-hand side connecting rod, which is not wanting, camera is not wanting to focus on this for some reason. And then this is the right-hand side coupling rod, which is equally filthy. So yeah, basically scrape the heavy rust off with a razor blade, and then polish it up with sandpaper and WD-40. So that's not all the way cleaned up, but it's mostly there. I'll probably finish it off tomorrow or later on tonight, but I think that's where I'm going to end this video for today. So thanks for watching, like, comment, subscribe, and all that.